Everything contained within this video is just like my opinion, man. Rose Tico is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. I know that's a dangerous thing to say in today's Star Wars discourse, and I want to make one thing perfectly clear to you as a viewer of this video, and I mean this with the utmost respect. I don't really care what you think of the character, and you shouldn't really care what I think either. I'll gladly discuss our thoughts and feelings about anything Star Wars, but at the end of it, it doesn't really matter. I'm not right to like the character or the film that she appeared in, and you aren't right to dislike the character or the film that she appeared in either. She is a fictional character in a movie. Hence, we're discussing a work of art, and while you and I might not pay $10 for Willem de Kooning's Untitled 8, someone did buy that painting for over $32 million. And they're not wrong to spend that type of money on what I see as some paint smashed onto a canvas. Art is subjective. Period. You are more than welcome to disagree with me. And just to head this off at the pass, if you're someone who really hated The Last Jedi and or really hated the character of Rose, but you voiced that opinion with the emotional maturity of an average 10-year-old, I'm not trying to silence you. I even encourage you to continue voicing that opinion. I'm making this video because I want to share what I love and why I love it. I'm making this video because it breaks my heart to know that Kelly Marie Tran, the actress who portrayed Rose, has followed the likes of Jake Lloyd, Hayden Christensen, Daisy Ridley, Natalie Portman, and even George Lucas himself in withdrawing from the fandom after enduring hateful, disgusting language from so-called fans. To the fans that post those racist, sexist, or just generally abusive remarks aimed at any Star Wars creator, your lack of empathy for other humans isn't natural. I hope that you deal with whatever it is that's broken you, and I truly hope that you find some peace and happiness in your life. Now, on to what I love about Rose Tico. Rose is my perfect rebel, and I've always been a Rebel fanboy. I grew up reading the daring escapades of Rogue and Wraith squadrons. The first Battlefront tie-in novel, Battlefront Twilight Company, is in my top 3 Star Wars novels of all time. Yeah, that even includes the Legends stuff. I'm deeply in love with the character archetype of the scrappy little guy standing up and saying, "No, this far and no further." This archetype doesn't stand up because they aren't afraid, but because they are afraid. True courage, at least to me, is not the lack of fear in the face of death. It is the strength to face death even when you are terrified. Some of my favorite moments in Star Wars aren't the grand battles. It's the moment before the grand battles. It's the members of Gold and Red squadrons checking in before their headlong charge at the original technological terror. It's Poe Dameron's "Don't let these thugs scare you" as Black Squadron speeds to the rescue on Takodana. But my favorite is, without a doubt, the moment that we take with Rose in her ski speeder as the Resistance charges the line of monstrous walkers on Crate. And that sort of leads us to Rose's character arc. I've seen and heard a lot of opinions that argue that there's a disappointing lack of an arc for Rose, and I personally disagree with that. I see an origin point, 3 very distinct steps, and a conclusion to Rose's character arc. It all starts with her first shots. In her opening scene, Rose is huddled in a dark, empty corner of the Raddus, mourning the loss of her sister, Paige. We've already seen the more traditional heroism that Paige displayed at the beginning of the film, so we've already identified Paige as a character like Poe or even Luke, someone confident and strong and powerful, someone who knows exactly what to do when the time comes to be a hero of legend. Back to Rose though, she immediately shows how much she idolizes these types of characters with her hero worship of who she at least thinks Finn is. And Rose continues on to convey what Paige has said about Finn, and that's the key, this line.
When we heard about it, my sister Paige said, "Rose, it's a real hero. Know right from wrong and don't run away when it gets hard," she said.
To me, it draws a thread between Rose's admiration of Finn and her sorrow for her sister. To me, it's showing us that Rose idolizes Paige in the same way. She's not just mourning the loss of her sister as a sibling, but also as the loss of a hero. Rose is lost and scared. She feels small and weak without her sister's reassuring presence. All of this is to say that the film is telling us that Rose doesn't believe herself to be a hero. She's always relied on Paige to be her rock. This is our reference point, where Rose, as a character, begins. Rose's first 2 steps of her 4-step character arc take place on Canto Bight. For me, the first of these takes place on the balcony overlooking the Fathier track. Her monologue to Finn is so incredibly powerful to me. She talks about her home suffering at the hands of the First Order and the pain brought onto the galaxy by the super rich, culminating in the line,
I wish I could put my fist through this whole lousy, beautiful town.
The righteous fury of a rebel is building to a boiling point. She's moving from sorrow for her sister to a rage that cannot be quenched. She is ready to fight. Rose's next moment on Canto Bight, and her second step in her arc, takes place in the stables. I feel like it's a combination of her connection with the Fathier and her reassurance of the stable boy. This is showing both us and Rose that she has the power to heal, the power to bring light where there was none, something far more important than bringing retribution on those who do wrong. Because, again, for me, this is the line between villains and heroes, at least in a narrative sense. Our second to last stop on Rose's arc takes place on the Supremacy. After Finn and Rose are captured, they learn that DJ betrayed them by revealing the shuttles that are en route to Crate. Rose's moment comes when Hux orders the Supremacy's guns to begin firing.
Our weapons are ready.
Ready and aim, sir.
Fire at will.
No, you can't.
No!
This is a quick moment, but to me, it is the most well-delivered utterance of the word no in Star Wars. The rage and passion that we saw building on Canto Bight has finally spilled over the edge. Rose is exploding with rage and pain at the revelation that this is the end. Everything her sister fought and died for, everything she has that gives her a reason to keep fighting, is being ripped from her. But it's an unhinged and unfocused rage. In other words, it's not a productive rage. She's just flailing and screaming without bringing about any meaningful change. This leads me into the ending point for Rose's arc. As I referenced earlier, it's the moment we take with her in her ski speeder. Charging into the maw of the First Order itself, Rose kind of has some second thoughts on this whole thing. You can see the thought of, this is crazy, why am I doing this, flash across her face. But one last reassurance from Paige gives her the steel she needs to do what must be done. To me, it's very similar to how Big's death inspires Luke in A New Hope.
Wait!
Rose has finally become a hero, not a grand Jedi Master or some hotshot X-Wing pilot, but a mechanic who will not let darkness take her or her friends. Now, with my thoughts on Rose's arc out of the way, I'd like to take a moment to talk about her effect on the character of Finn, because that's the other reason for characters to exist, to affect other characters. In my mind, I draw a comparison between the Finn-Rose dynamic and the Han-Luke dynamic in A New Hope. I see 2 direct comparisons: Luke yelling at Han in the Death Star control room, to Rose's monologue with Finn on Canto Bight, and secondly, Luke scolding Han on Yavin 4 to Rose saving Finn from a needless death on Crate. Finn and Han are both, quote, good guys, unquote, but they need a strong push from a morally brilliant character to do the right thing. The only difference I perceive is Han's lack of a devil on his shoulder character, a place filled quite nicely by the character of DJ. Now, to wrap this video up, I just want to reiterate that you're not wrong to dislike this character. I'll even admit that there should have been a clear imagery showing us that Finn's cannon charge was going to be in vain, that he was throwing his life away in a fit of rage and needless violence. I might have interpreted it in the way that Rian Johnson intended it to be, but I can sympathize with the fans that didn't see it that way. I guess it just comes down to how Rian tells his stories. He's a very subtle filmmaker, and that's not for everyone. But for me, it's perfect. And Rose is perfect for me too.